The man they called a nobody me name is Whitley, and I was 32 years old when I got married. I should have been the happiest woman in the world on my wedding day. But as I stood in the small dressing room of St. Agnes Chapel, looking at myself in the mirror, I felt only sadness. My wedding dress was perfect. My hair was exactly how I wanted it. My bouquet of white roses rested in my hands. But instead of feeling excited, I felt a heavy pain in my chest. The reason was my family. Through the thin wall, I heard my father talking to my uncle. He works in a warehouse, my father said loudly. A warehouse worker. My daughter is marrying a man who drives a forklift. I can't believe this. I closed my eyes and tried not to cry. For 8 months, my family had treated Julian like he was not good enough for me when I first brought him home. My mother asked him in front of everyone, "Do you actually have any plans for your future?" She said it like his life had no value. But they didn't know what I knew. Julian had lost both of his parents when he was only 19 years old. Instead of giving up, he raised his 2 younger siblings by himself. He worked long hours, paid the bills, and made sure they had a home. He never complained. He never asked for sympathy. He simply did what needed to be done. My father only saw his old clothes, his simple apartment, and his warehouse job. He never saw the kindness, strength, and responsibility behind them. But I did. I loved Julian because he remembered how I liked my coffee. I loved him because he drove 4 hours through a snowstorm just to bring me soup when I was sick. I loved him because he always respected my family, even when they refused to respect him. Then there was a knock on the dressing room door. My father walked in without waiting. "Your grandfather isn't coming," he said. I looked at him in confusion. He had something else to do. My father continued, "And I'm not walking you down the aisle either." My heart sank. "Dad, please," I whispered. "It's my wedding day." He looked at me coldly. "You chose this. You chose to marry a nobody." Then he walked away. A few moments later, I saw him sitting in the back row of the chapel beside my mother. He wasn't upset. He wasn't embarrassed. He looked like he was watching a show where I was supposed to be humiliated. The wedding coordinator came to me and asked softly, "Do you want to wait? We can find someone else to walk with you." I looked toward the chapel doors. On the other side was Julian, waiting for me. I thought about letting my father ruin everything. Then I realized something. This day was not about my father. It was about the man I loved. So I lifted my head and said, "No, I'll walk myself." The doors opened. The music started. Everyone turned to look at me. I held my bouquet tightly and walked down the aisle. Alone, I could feel the whispers. I could feel people noticing that my father was missing. But I kept my eyes on Julian. When he saw me, his face changed. He immediately understood what had happened. His eyes filled with sadness, but he stood there waiting for me. Halfway down the aisle, something unexpected happened. The chapel doors opened again. I stopped for a moment. I thought my father had changed his mind, but it wasn't him. 30 people walked inside. They were all wearing matching gray suits. They moved quietly and stood along both sides of the aisle. The entire chapel became silent. Everyone stared. My father looked confused. Then a tall man with silver hair stepped forward. "Sir," he said to my father. My father looked at him. "You don't get to sit there and enjoy watching your daughter hurt," the man said calmly. "Nobody spoke." The man turned toward me. Double quotes, "Mrs. Whitley, forgive us for